What's up everyone? Today I'm playing my Andromeda Jackout base deck once again, and I'm up against Jinteki PE. And this is not a favorable matchup obviously because of the net damage. But I think the biggest challenge this game is not so much the net damage, because I have feedback filter to deal with it. The biggest challenge of this game is pronouncing throughout this video the program Revoir correctly. So hopefully I can pronounce it right consistently. I apologize in advance if I'm smashing your ears to bits every time I pronounce au revoir. But I'll give it a shot. So basically, up against Jinteki PE, I only want to see one thing in my opening hand, and that is none other than the feedback filter. I'll install it at the earliest opportunity I see it. Unfortunately, my opening hand doesn't have it. I mulligan, and my mulligan hand doesn't have it either. This is something viable to do in Andromeda because you see 9 cards every time you mulligan. So it is worth it to mulligan just for the feedback filter. And even if you don't get a feedback filter, chances are you still have a decent hand like I do here. I have a supplier and a sure gamble. Unfortunately, I can't play the sure gamble because he pinged it off with clone retirement. Yeah, that's a very powerful first turn. Being able to deal 1 net damage and get 1 agenda point right off the bat. That is nasty. Too bad I'm not running Keyhole here. Well, since he removed my sure gamble, this actually allows me to play Lucky Find on my first turn without having to discard any additional cards. So that's a subtle benefit there. I want to avoid playing sure gamble and Lucky Find for that matter, because I want to use it as net damage fodder. The only exception is on my first turn because I need the early burst of credits to get my supplier and some of my hardware going. Logos is pretty expensive. I tutor it. It costs 2. I liberate it. It still costs 2 credits to remove it from the supplier. Now, Logos was my first priority, not the Dyson Mem chip, which enables my underworld contact economy. The reason is quite simple. Against Jinteki PE, you can easily expect that they'll play lots and lots of 1-point agendas. So you definitely want to find cards with logos so that you want logos out ASAP so that you can tutor every single thing you need, because for them to get to match point, they'll have to feed you at least 2 or 3 logos tutors. So that should really help me accelerate the searching for my breakers and the feedback filter most importantly. Alright, so I do not contest his central servers at all because I should not run until I find the feedback filter. Otherwise, I'm just risking the loss of unnecessary cards. And more importantly, even if I do steal agendas, I leave myself more vulnerable to philotic entanglement, which is something I do not want to entangle myself with. So, the first piece of my underworld contact economy has been liberated. I express delivery and I pull out a snitch. There are other interesting cards in there, like a sure gamble, like another copy of some money basically. But I want the snitch ASAP. That's another very important card. Because I do not run Mimic in this deck, I need to snitch his eyes to find out whether they are nasty sentries that I cannot break, or they are easy code gates and barriers that all I need to find are my breakers and I can get through them. So snitch is quite important, otherwise I cannot run central servers at all. Now he plays a shell game and I decide that looking at my hand, I can afford to lose all of my cards except for the ninja. I do not want to lose my sentry breaker. So I do find the Chronos project and I take 1 net damage. I lose the duplicate supplier, that is perfectly fine. As long as I do not lose the ninja, it's fine. And even if I do lose the ninja, all I need to do is to find a backup. And yep, the shot hits my plus crit, again another irrelevant card, and I draw more. And that's my backup, Femme Fatale. So I have both sentries in my hand. It is a bit risky. Now, if I run and I hit a psychic field, I will lose both my sentries to my heap. And that is pretty dangerous, especially now that I know he's running Chronos project. So this could have come at a better time. I find my feedback filter, it goes on the board immediately. No point reserving this in my grip for a surprise. The last thing you want to do is to hold the feedback filter in your grip and then regret it when they score an agenda next turn and the net damage hits your feedback filter. So sure enough, he does score an agenda. I could not contest it last turn because I didn't have enough money to run. If I hit a psychic field or a snare, that could have been the end of my game. So I'm just playing conservatively right now. Yeah, so that's basically one of the last agendas he'll ever score, because as long as I have money from now on, I can just contest all his unadvanced remotes, paying the money should I get hit by any net damage. So I find my first Revoir, and this means that I can start going ice hunting. Using Snitch, I can start exposing his ice, gaining money in the process, and now I will know what kind of breakers I need to bring out, which means I need to find my Corroder. So as you can see, the game just got really hard for my opponent. I am able to expose all his ice, so he does not have any surprise advantage in that department against me. And I can run all his face down cards with impunity because I can deflect all net damage with feedback filter. So I hope for his sake that he actually has a backup plan for this. Otherwise, yeah, he stands no chance. And in fact, your typical Cambridge Jinteki PE does have a solution against this. It's called Mushin no Shin. If you Mushin out a Cerebral Overwriter, that could be quite devastating. Especially, especially because hitting 2 Cerebral Overwriters will cost you the game. I can always sack my feedback filter to prevent the brain damage, but this leaves me vulnerable to all the net damage once again. So here he scores Clone Retirement, and this time I definitely want to fire my feedback filter because I have a Zuki Master in hand. In the meantime, I expose his Yagura on R&D. So from here on out, I'm just going to fast forward the video because it's very much a walkover. I install my Zuki Master and I get past his Yagura. Yeah, so now that I've actually stabilized, I have 2 Underworld Contacts and 2 Revoirs working for me for economy. Oh, and a daily cast as well. Money is almost certainly not a problem. Yeah, he cannot threaten me with net damage anymore. I move on to see a Quandary, which I can easily break with Zuki Master. Had it been a Barrier or a Sentry, I could easily jack out and still gain 2 credits from there. So not very much loss over there. But it so happened that he stacked Code Gates, which is perfect for me. All I needed was a Zuki Master to easily get through. And I hit the Hokusai Grid. I was thinking it was a Caprice Nisei, but Hokusai makes more sense since he installed it naked in the R&D server. Yeah, so that should have been the red flag that signaled to me that it was probably a Hokusai. Access a Komainu. I always access R&D first because I don't know what's on R&D. After accessing R&D, I'll be able to evaluate whether I should save money to trash the Hokusai or not. Then I run HQ and jack out to get 2 credits from Revoir. Alright, so I just basically run on R&D every single turn, accessing 1 card, in the meantime, building up my economy. Slowly but surely, I draw into my 3rd Revoir and 3rd Underworld Contacts. At this point, my economy is nigh unstoppable. I use Revoir to end Snitch to see the Bako on top of his R&D, and then special order a Corroder out so that I can run through R&D once more. Then he attempted to install 2 remote servers, which I easily contested. All the meanwhile, any spare clicks I have, my last click, usually at the end of the turn, is spent running and jacking out of HQ to get Revoir economy. So now I finally start running his R&D again, once every single turn. And this time I think I hit a snare, but all I need to do is pay 9 credits and 2 morph to remove the tag, and I'm good. It is quite expensive getting hit by snares, but this deck makes so much economy that it's ridiculous. So yeah, he cannot possibly keep up with 3 clickless credits and 3 credits per click with 3 Revoirs and 3 Underworld Contacts. So here's his final stand against me. He makes a server with an Archer. Okay, this is tricky. I have 2 solutions for this, and both are not ideal. Ninja costs 4 to install and 10 to break. Femme Fatale costs 9 to install and 4 to break. Either way, this will leave me broke with about less than 5 credits left. So if I access a Psychic Field, my hand will be wiped. Yeah, and that spells trouble. So I chose not to contest the server instead, because if I do contest it and it's a trap, I'll be left with few credits, and he can easily take advantage of this scoring window by scoring a big agenda the next turn, like Philotic Entanglement. And I wouldn't be able to contest it. Furthermore, I think that he's trying to bait me into a trap, because out of Criminal, you have to expect inside job. So if I have an inside job, I can easily access his card. So I think it's a snare inside. And I do not want to run on that snare last click to getting attack, which I have to float through the next turn. Neither do I want to get hit by a Psychic Field, so I let him score the agenda. The worst it could be is the worst it could be is probably a Sense City Grid, because that means he can score any 3 advanced agenda from his hand. I know that he's running Sense City Grid because I accessed one earlier. Turns out it was the Philotic Entanglement, which is very unfortunate because that cost me 9 credits to deflect the damage. I might as well have just fammed the ice and went through it, so that was a mistake on my part, but I was just playing it safe. Next, I ran R&D and I trashed another copy of Sensen. So game continues on, and I just basically play passively by gaining credits. This is, Jinteki P is all about the annoying net damage grind, but now I flip the tables against him, and I'm annoying him by grinding him out with pure economy. As long as I can make more money, then he can inflict net damage on me. I'm completely safe, and he has no way to score his agendas. He might as well just concede the game. So yeah, basically now his only out is that remote server with an archer in it. I run, expose the outer ice, it's another archer. 2 archers stacked up against each other. Well, yes, that really is his only hope at this point. So I could easily install my ninja or fam right now. I don't want to. I prefer keeping it a surprise, and I'm not afraid of it being hit by net damage because I have more than enough money now to deflect the net damage from feedback filter. Notice that I'm deliberately keeping a very high credit count. Very necessary because it costs up to 24 credits to break through the entire remote server with a ninja. And this is what I'm about to do. The moment he installs something in there, I'm running through with ninja. So, yep. I know that I can break both archers for 20 credits, leaving me with 7 credits to trash a potential Sensen, or deflect up to 2 net damage if it's snare. And with my actually, I would have preferred to use Femme Fatale because I know there's a Komainu on HQ. If I ever want to run HQ, having a Femme out would be much better. But since there are 2 archers, Ninja is the only choice. Otherwise, it will cost me 12 credits to get through with Femme, which is very undesirable. Actually, yeah, now that I think about it, it's not much difference, huh? 10 credits for Femme versus 12 credits for Femme versus 10 for Ninja. Ninja isn't exactly much better. In fact, you can actually Femme one of the archers. But my rationale behind this is simple. I want to force him to res both archers, which is what he's doing right now. He forgot to target the clone retirement, so he has to redo it. But basically, I want him to sack 2 agendas so that he will be forced to go down to 3 agenda points from 5. What I'm most worried about right now is that he's at match point, and yeah, even though I have a complete lockdown on him with feedback filter and insane economy, he just needs 1 agenda, 1 little trip up from me to win the game. So if I force him down to 3 agenda points, I give myself more breathing room. And something that you probably noticed for a long time now, I have not been using my logos. He's got 3 agendas, 3 whole agendas, and I completely forgot to tutor every single time. So I should have 3 more cards in my hand right now, 3 much needed cards. The 1 card that I'm looking for in my deck right now is none other than the R&D interface. That is the card that I need the most at this point. This allows me to make more confident, more efficient R&D runs. Alright, so the card behind the server was a Fetal AI. That's good news for me. Bad news is I am forced to take 3 net damage. Luckily enough, the 1 card that was spared from the net damage was Femme Fatale. Thereafter, I Revoir up to 11 credits, so he cannot Neuro EMP me down. I've seen at least 2 Neuro EMPs from all the R&D accesses, so this will keep me safe from getting flatline. So yeah, it's back to business for me. I just need to make sure I keep enough credits in my credit pool such that I can contest his archer server at a moment's notice. So yeah, right now I definitely need the R&D interface. So it's in this situation where I'm really happy that he res both archers, which might not have happened had I femmed an archer instead. There's no way I can contest this server in time because I don't have 20 credits with me. So even if that was, say, a House of Knives, at least he can't do anything about it. I mean, he cannot win the game because he's only on 3 agenda points. In the meantime, I can start digging R&D and HQ to find agendas. Here what I do is a HQ dig involving HQ interface, so that will allow me to see 2 cards. Multi-access is generally bad against Jinteki, but with feedback filter, you need not worry too much. Yeah, so I definitely want R&D multi-access because it speeds up my game, which is quite important because he's now transitioning to a glacier phase where he starts throwing random stuff behind the archer server, and I cannot afford to spend 20 credits just to see what's behind it. So I need to outspeed him by finding 7 agenda points before he gets enough agenda scored. And how I do this is none other than raiding his HQ and R&D with multi-access. So I just speed up the game right here, and there's nothing much to say after that because our game dragged out for so long that he had to take his leave. He had an appointment. So that was unfortunate that we could not complete the game, but I strongly suspect that I would have won the game simply because my economy was strong and he himself knew it. He was cornered into a dead end. It was basically everything that he did was pretty futile. The only option he had was to throw random stuff in the remote server, as I said. And the more he scored agendas, the more R&D interfaces I can pull out, the quicker his demise will be. So the ultimate moral of the story: pack lots of economy and feedback filter when playing as criminal.